Okay, quick follow-up to a PCX, the call we sent out last night. Really liked this over this couple catalysts here, 1406 and 1409, and then we said 1416, and you're almost in blue skies. I mean, you're in a clean breakout mode there. Now I'll switch and show you today's candle and what happened. Let's go to fives, and how I called this early in our chat room. It opened, where did it open? 1402. And in the pre-market, it was trading up even as much as 1425. So we knew it was going to be in breakout territory after the open. I switched, actually, in the early going, I'll use very narrow candles. So I used 2-minute candle here and posted to the chat room that this is a possible gap play, 1411 trigger. In other words, if it breaks the 2-minute high, worst case stop, 1395. Grabbed some right when it was breaking the high of the day there, 1411. Now, I also said over the microphone to the chat room that, hey, anything that trades in the first 5 or 10 minutes, you always want to pay yourself quickly. Now, maybe it'll keep going, but you sell it in portions, okay? So when I got this nice pop, I mean, these are 2-minute candles, okay? So 1411, 4 minutes later, it's all the way up to 1429. At that time of the morning, knowing I took an early trade and we're only about 8 minutes into the session, I'm starting to sell because, as I tell our members, you never know on an early trade. They can whip all over the place. And the market can whip all over the place. So bought it right here, and literally 4 minutes later I was selling. I kept some until it started to come back down because I thought, hey, if this thing runs all the way to 15, I still want to have some. But then it put in this little red doji candle, started coming down, and sold my last bit at 14.15. So even my last sell was in the green. I'll bring over this into the screen, and you can see I made $387.70 on PCX. And there might be a lot of people that said, you know, that looked at the call and said, hey, what a moron, I bet he lost a lot of money on it. So that's the only reason I throw that in there. You have to trade defensively, especially on an early trade. And that is exactly what we preach all day long. We trade defensively. So we know if it's an early trade and we know we got a potential breakout, we'll buy. But we start selling into any kind of pop. And worst case scenario, if it comes back down, we're out flat or a little bit green on the rest. This could have kept running all day, but it didn't. And so I still had a nice little trade in it, versus ending up having this be a loss. Okay, so that's my PCX trade. I do have a couple others from today to talk about. This is Boyd Gaming, BYD. Had this on our watch list last night because it had a similar chart to the, well, you know the kind of charts we like. Had a high back here after a big volume pop, by the way, and then a lower high right here and a nice base. You know we love this setup. So I already had this on watch with a trigger price. Let me get that out of there. Trigger price of a break of yesterday's high, 860. I said if it gets to 860, that's a trigger. And one of our members, I was off doing something else, or I was stalking another stock, and one of our members re-alerted the room and alerted me, and then I put it over the mic, hey, BYD is at 860. And you can see here, we did get a nice breakout in that one as well. From 860, it made it all the way to, geez, what was it? 916, so a 56-cent move, which is a big move on an $8 or $9 stock. So that was a nice breakout that we got there too. SWC on this, see this bottoming tail here? We actually caught this near the bottom on this sell-off. Sorry about that. When it was doing this, it met all the parameters I teach. I was projecting this live and said I like this on threes. It was very clean. In other words, when I say on threes, I mean a break of the previous first break of a previous 3-minute candles high. I had this nice doji looking candle here. You had so many things in line. You had increasing volume. You already had this shape. This is when potential capitulation to the downside comes in. And so the call was based on the first break of a previous 3-minute candle, 1753. Worst case stop, 1740. That's 13 cents risk that never got hit, as you can see. And from 1753, this went up almost $1 at one point. Now I'm embarrassed to say I completely missed this trade. I was stalking it, and one of my members says I have ADD because I was off looking at another chart, and by the time I looked back, it had already triggered. But wow, what a bounce there on a very low risk setup. Another one I mentioned in chat today, HIG, nice gap up. Switch to 5-minute candles. You can see the big gap up there when it came back up and challenged the high of the day but didn't take it out. In other words, it looked like this. I told everybody that if it broke these three little almost equal tops here, 24.89 could get you through the high of the day, and then the gap the gap up could fulfill itself and become stronger. So the call was 24.89 over the microphone. Worst case stop, probably below this base at 24.60. So about 30 cents risk. But from 24.89, this thing ran all the way to almost $1 again, 25.77. Again, another one, even though I'm showing you the call I made and the setup, another one that I skillfully missed. Maybe I do too much clicking around. But that was a nice one too for the room. A couple other examples. STI met one of our new trading parameters that we look for, one of our new setups, and the call on STI, SunTrust Banks here, was right there. Worst case stop right there. Not a huge move, but we had many members make money on that. 24.80, worst case stop, 24.69. So 11 cents risk, and from 24.80, in about 30 minutes to 25.17. Again, not a huge move, but certainly a nice profit. And I think that's all the highlights I have from today. There were other calls, but once the Fed got here, once the Fed announcement and all that stuff started, I tried to find a trade for the room, but whenever the market rips through lows of the day, then rips through highs of the day, then rips through lows of the day again, and then back through highs, unless you know it's going to do that ahead of time, I could not find for the life of me a low-risk setup. So I sat there, usually play golf on Fed afternoons. I just let all this nonsense occur, but didn't today. I said I'll stay and try to find something, and did not find anything. So anyway, I'll quit babbling. That was the highlights from today, and we'll try to send out another free weekly pick next week, and we'll put out a video tomorrow night from tomorrow's chat room highlights. So have a good night.